If you're familiar with any of the previous Rayman games, you probably know what to expect with this newest release, Rayman Legends. If you haven't played Rayman before, you might be in for a surprise because it's basically a classic platformer. But don't be turned off by the simplicity of the game, because we found out in our review, it's truly an enjoyable game to not only play, but to look at, because the artistic style is beautiful. Rayman Legends is almost a complete 2D game. The characters are 2D sprites, and the environments are 2D as well. However, the game runs in a 3D game engine, allowing the artist to achieve a fantastic sense of depth to the levels by implementing various different layers, as you can see in this shot here. As we noticed while playing the game, we weren't really quite sure if this particular ledge we were standing on was a 3D asset or a 2D sprite. However, the environments from the foreground to the background are all 2D textures applied to very simple flat planes. What really brought each level together was the amount of detail that went into every single texture and background matte painting. For example, look at how beautifully the grass in the foreground is painted in this level, and if you notice, the detail doesn't stop there. There are multiple layers that make up the background, and each layer is painted with amazing detail. If you're interested in texture painting, you're definitely going to enjoy this area of the game. Another thing that we really enjoyed was the fact that every single level had its own unique look, from the enemies to the environments, but it still felt like they all fit within the overall style of the game. Being able to keep the art style consistent throughout the game across the likely multiple environment artists is a tough task, but the devs seem to achieve it with no real hiccups. As you can see from our scores, the level design was easily the most impressive aspect of the game. With a platformer, it's easy to quickly feel like you're doing the exact same thing over and over, but it never feels that way with Rayman Legends. I mean, just look at this level. We're playing as ducks in a world of cake. Why? Well, as you'll find out when you're playing this game, you're going to ask that question quite often. And the answer is simple. Why not? It's Rayman Legends. It just works. Another impressive aspect of the game is in the animation. And it's nice to see some very exaggerated and stylized animations. The different walk and run cycles for each character were some of the nicest animations in the game. For example, check out this shot. Again, we're ducks. And the way your character squashes and stretches, and the nice overlapping action in the head and wings, is really a testament to how well the principles of animation were implemented into every single movement. While Rayman Legends is almost a complete 2D game, it's important to keep in mind there are some instances where 3D assets are used, and we noticed a few areas with some faceted edges. For example, if you take a look at the waterfall in this shot, it's an animated texture, and to have an animated texture, you must have it on some type of geometry. In this case, it's a simple flat plane, and this flat plane is very low resolution, causing some noticeable faceting as it drops off the edge. Now, of course, this is not a huge issue, but we noticed that where there had to be geometry used, it was usually low resolution. Check out this shot. The water, as you can see, looks pretty good. As we dive in, there are some very nice ripples that happen across the top. But as we cut to this shot, take a look at how the faceted edges are on top of this water. When we hit the water at a higher rate of speed, it looks more like spikes splashing up. Sure, you could chalk this off as the art style of the game, but the waves were not as faceted on the first shot. So it really comes down to inconsistency issues in the geometry used and the amount of resolution implemented. So the only real cutscene we saw was at the beginning of the game, and it looked pretty good. We did notice, however, you can easily tell the different environment layers are simple 2D planes, which could have been an artistic choice. You can also see how they implemented some 3D into the scene as well with the creatures that are carrying the cages. While the cutscenes are not groundbreaking, they were entertaining to watch, and it fit the art style of the game very well. During our playthrough, we found the UI and menus to be a little hard to navigate, but one area we thought was a really nice feature was how you never really stop playing. For example, the level selection is literally a level in itself that you can jump and run around in. Again, this is one reason why the menus were a little hard to figure out, simply because they had their own level of discovery, but it is a unique way the devs are able to keep the player immersed throughout the game. Now, when it came to the gameplay, that's where Rayman Legends truly shines. One of the aspects we really enjoyed was the fact that you can play with up to 4 players on the same console. Yeah, that's right, 4 friends playing the same game on the same console. Not 4 friends all playing in different locations online, which is what you typically expect with games these days. That's pretty rare to see, and being able to play with friends was one reason why this game is so fun. Of course, if you feel like taking a break from the regular levels within the game, there are a wide range of really enjoyable mini-games that are just as fun. For instance, in this shot we were playing the soccer game Kung Foot. As you can imagine, this game is pretty competitive, and there was a nice rivalry between two of the reviewers that quickly turned into a 30-minute battle. Not only is Rayman Legends a blast to play, but it has a great artistic style that is beautiful to look at. This game offers so many different levels and some great mini-games that keep the experience fresh. It's really one of those games where you can't help but smile throughout the time you're playing it. Now, if you want to challenge us to a game of Kung Foot, be sure to add us on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network with the gamertag Digital-Tutors, and we'll see you online.